Hey Joe, here. If you find yourself here on the longer version of the video from the short one, thanks for watching on. And if you're not, the first example I gave in that short video was a bad oxygen sensor. You got a scan tool of your own, little handheld code reader, like this is like the one I had shown in the video. And you found a code that points to a bad oxygen sensor. So you go to a parts store, aftermarket parts store, and you get the suspected bad O2 sensor out of there, and you replace it, and you clear the code, and then the light comes back on, same code. Well, this is where I recommend you go with OEM parts with certain components on vehicles. I mean, even water pumps, put it that way. That's not related to your check engine light. But what I want to get at here is you can chase your tail real easy with problems like this. You can go round and round with the same problem. So what if you put an oxygen sensor in, it doesn't fix it because it's the aftermarket sensor, or there's a chewed wire from a mouse somewhere, or a green corroded wire. Think about that. All right, second scenario. All right, so you get a P0442 code. You look on your code reader and it says small leak detected in evaporative emission system. So you go online, you look, and first suspected cause is, well, is your gas cap tight? The gas cap's tight, then replace the gas cap. You then, yet again, you go to aftermarket parts store and get an aftermarket gas cap. You're trying to save money, so you might go for the cheapest one. You might not. You might go for the more expensive one. You replace the cap, clear the code, light comes back on. What do? Well, you call your mechanic up. Mechanic says, well, did you check the cap and all that? And you say, yes, I did. Well, bring it in. We're going to do further testing on it. So you bring it in. Mechanic says, well, we checked your vent shut valve. It's holding, it's closing. Doesn't mean it's sealing, but we couldn't find anything, no leaks with the smoke in your system. Well, it can't be the gas cap because I already replaced it. So the mechanic might say, well, we're going to throw a vent shut valve at it, seeing as how, we've checked the purge control valve and all that. So put a vent shut valve in it, same thing. Long story short, comes down to being the aftermarket gas cap. So originally, the original OEM gas cap was the problem all along. You replaced it with an aftermarket gas cap. Now, I've seen them before where you tighten them down, the little rubber seal just rolls over the edge of the fuel filler neck. It's impossible for it to seal. Third scenario. All right, so you got a P0420 indicating catalytic converter deficiency. It's not working right. It's telling you that it might lead you to that it needs a catalytic converter. So maybe you replace the catalytic converter. You replace it, it doesn't fix it. So what monitors the catalytic converter is the downstream oxygen sensor. If you don't look at that first, there's data to look at on the scan tool that you can interpret to tell you if the catalytic converter is doing its job or if the oxygen sensor is doing its job. I always, with a 420 code, I always recommend replacing the downstream oxygen sensor. You should replace oxygen sensors as a pair, front and rear. The front air-fuel ratio sensor, oxygen sensor, does most of the work. Downstream oxygen sensor really is only responsible for 2% of air-fuel metering. So just be real careful. It's great to have a scan tool. You have this empowerment. You want to further to save money by cheaping out on aftermarket parts. Not all of them are bad. but you really got to know what to look for. And if you don't know what to look for, you should actually go with an OEM oxygen sensor, gas cap, whatever. Now, if you do indeed need a catalytic converter, you might not want to go with the one from the manufacturer. And if you do replace your um, catalytic converter, you want to make sure that there's nothing else causing the catalytic converter to fail. Like if your engine's burning antifreeze or if it's burning oil, that can greatly shorten the life of the catalytic converter. All right, I'm going to show you what I use for scan tools and show you the difference between like a handheld code reader like I showed you before and a more expensive one. Hold on. Okay, so this is my Snap-on Solus Edge. I use this most of the time. This is the one I have an active subscription on. I pay about a little over $60 a month for it to keep the software updated. The Snap-on tool guy comes in and updates it every 90 days or so. And this scan tool, you know, you can pull codes with it, obvious. You can look at data, fuel trims, all that. And you can do that too with some handhelds, but it's limited data. This has a program built into it that is connected to a nationwide database. So the vehicle I'm working on kind of gives you an idea of what's common to replace or repair or whatever it takes to repair the vehicle, which is pretty handy. This launch X431 torque I have here, I've had it for a few years now. I got to update the software in it, but they don't do a monthly charge like Snap-on does, which makes it kind of difficult to afford all in one shot. It's around 800 bucks last I checked. I am going to update it. The thing I like about this scan tool is that the PIDs, they'll show you in red if they're out of spec. The Snap-on one does not. That's the only thing I don't like about it. And the other thing is it's corded. This launch is cordless, which I like that. This, as far as booting up, is a dinosaur compared to this. This boots up really quick. That's what I like about that, but I don't like that it's corded, because if you're trying to like look at an ABS sensor for movement, you're trying to spin the wheel on the lift, you're kind of screwed, especially if it's the right rear tire or the sensor that you're trying to get a signal on. But yeah, so between the two here, you know, I mean, I use this one the most. And I was actually looking at another one. I actually have an Autel MaxiSys that I could still update, but you know, being by myself here, working at this shop, it's really pretty big expense to, if you're gonna have all these scan tools and keep them updated. So, you know, you got to just basically stick with one, and that's what I do for now. And this one still works, but for newer vehicles, there's no updates for it, so I can still use it. So I've showed you, you know, my little handhelds here. I have one like this in my car. I keep a bunch of other stuff with me, a mini air compressor, stuff like that. But they're nice to have with you, you know, if you're on trip and your check engine light comes on. But usually if it just comes on and stays solid, you really got nothing to worry about. If it's flashing at you, then you got to get something taken care of because you got a misfire. But yeah, so just be careful with the scan tools. I mean, empowerment's great, but you got to really know what you're looking at. And if you're going to replace any parts involved with the check engine light code, use OEM. I know you don't want to pay more. You're trying to save money by having your car diagnosing your car yourself, but don't let it bite you in the butt. All right. Hey, if you like this video, please do so, and I hope it's giving you some information, and subscribe while you're at it. That would be even better. Have a great night and drive safe.